Tom Vu, the man, the life, the mission.
What if I told you one man is responsible for all the fake gurus and flexers we see on the internet? That one man's actions would create a snowball effect that lasts over 40 years. Well, it's true, and that's the subject of today's video. If you guys are new here, I'd love to have you be a part of the community we're building. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like on the video. We're almost at 10,000 subs, got a really big surprise coming at 10K. I'd love to have you be a part of that. The video I was able to find is pretty old and outdated. A lot of it isn't very good quality because, guys, we're going back decades here. I'm talking 1990s, 1980s. We're talking 40 years here, even predating the internet itself. So bear with me on some of the footage if it doesn't look very good. But now, let's get right into it. Tom Vu was born in 1957 in Saigon, Vietnam. That's in the south part of Vietnam. Today, it's known mainly as Ho Chi Minh City. Tom Vu acknowledges growing up, he had a pretty wealthy childhood. He was the oldest of 10 siblings, so his parents definitely liked making babies. But his dad was a landowner and he owned multiple businesses. So Tom, growing up, had a pretty good life until the Vietnam War started. If you don't know, Saigon was a main point of the Vietnam War, so Tom Vu's family decided to leave Vietnam and immigrate to the United States to avoid the war. When Tom Vu arrived in America, he didn't know anything. He didn't know the culture, he didn't know how to speak English, and a little over time, he ended up working his way into American society, eventually graduating from the University of Central Florida in 1980 with a degree in business. But this true immigrant rags to riches story really became a central backdrop for his narrative that he would use to sell his programs later in life. In the 1980s, Tom Vu reinvented himself as a real estate get-rich-quick guru and infomercial personality.
This is another house I just bought. It's worth $500,000. Using my own technique, I pay only $285,000. I make $215,000 in this house. What can you do with $215,000? You can take 10 trips around the world, send 4 or 5 of your kids to go to college, or you can even buy a Rolls Royce. Come to my seminar. I show you how to make all kinds of money.
Back then, there wasn't this stigma around getting rich quick as being a scam or a fraud. Obviously, it kind of raises some red flags. But guys, you have to remember, this is over 40 years ago. The internet is just not a thing. At least it's not widely available in each person's house, and they don't have cell phones. So it's an entirely different situation from what we're used to seeing today. And when you see someone come on TV late at night, like Tom Vu would do in one of these infomercials, showing off all of his luxurious houses, boats, women, everything you would stereotypically think of someone who's got a lot of money, you think, wow, what did they do to get there?
Sick and tired of where you are, working hard for years for nothing? Are you excited about watching my student making a fortune on TV? You know, many of these people started out with little or no cash and no credit, no experience. Do you have a guts to step out of where you are to achieve your financial freedom? Then come to my 3 hours Success and Real Estate Investing Seminar. The cover charge for this seminar is not $1,000. It's not even $500. It's not even $100. The cover charge, my friend, is free. And if you're not willing to spend 3 free hours to learn from a self-made millionaire to maximize your opportunity, you deserve to be broke.
Actually, a fun fact, I was just in Vietnam not too long ago. I promise, guys, all the stuff I say I do on this channel, I do it all, man. I'm on a massive list of just side quests going here and there, guys. So trust me, I've been there. Actually, Saigon, where Tom Vu is from, was my favorite place that I've gone. It's a pretty cool place. But I think it's so funny how he talks in this deep Vietnamese accent. Maybe it's just because I expose a lot of these guys and make videos, and I'm always used to them being like vanilla ice cream, all sounding the same, saying the same thing. But Tom Vu leaned into his larger-than-life personality, and he styled himself as the immigrant underdog who achieved the American dream through sheer will. But it wasn't without criticism. For example, some people would push back on Tom Vu. They would say he's an immigrant, he's crazy, all type of other things, to which Tom Vu would respond and say, quote,
And you know what I have to keep telling these people every time? I kept saying, you're a loser. Get out of my way. I make it somehow.
But the point is, he didn't shy away from controversy. Whenever someone tried to talk trash, Tom Vu threw that trash right back at him. I'm not defending this guy, but if you're going to go and you're going to portray it, back it up. I hate nothing more than an alpha male flexer who goes and blocks you at the first sign of any pushback or any criticism. But he told people, don't listen to your loser friends.
Take a look at them from head to toe. Of course, they are nothing. Stay away from them. Learn from success, not failure. When I was a busboy at the country club I used to work at, one night I got all the guts in this world. I walk over to this nice old man. I give him some water, and I say, sir, I'm giving you some water. Would you please tell me how to be rich like you, sir? And lucky for me, the old man say, well, boy, stay after work, I show you how. I condensed that old man's secret into just 3 little words. 3 beautiful words that brought Tom Vu from poverty to be multimillionaire. 3 little words that made me overcome all the obstacles in my life. If you want to become wealthy, come to my seminar. Let me share with you the 3 little words that can change anyone's life.
That's essentially what the infomercial was pitching. It wasn't usually pitching an item itself, but to get you in the door to one of these 90-minute seminars, basically a free trial where he promised to share you how he went from a boat refugee to a multimillionaire in such a short time. The attendees of the free seminar would then be upsold into a paid, in-depth workshop. It's reported that his entry-level programs cost roughly $5,000, with his premium programs costing as much as $15,000 to $16,000 per person. He claimed by using his methods, ordinary people could attain the same trappings of wealth that he flaunted on screen: mansions, cars, yachts. But you have to think about how much money that really is. $5,000, first of all, $5,000 today is a lot of money. But remember, this is the 1980s, so it's worth, 2-3 times as much back then. $5,000 is a lot, and that's just to get in the door. But Tom Vu promises the world if you just put his plan into practice. So what is the plan? At the core of Tom Vu's program was a strategy for making quick profits in real estate without using one's own money. Vu taught students a system centered on finding distressed properties and doing no money down deals. To add to the long list of side quests I've done, I had a period where I wanted to get into real estate and be a realtor. So I actually signed up for a real estate course so I could learn how to do it. So let me explain these terms if you're not familiar. A distressed property is one oftentimes where someone can't afford their payments and they're facing a foreclosure. There's also other situations they're upside down on the mortgage, they might have a tax lien on the home. There's a bunch of different reasons that there could be a distressed property, and no money down is pretty self-explanatory, no down payment on the home. The idea was to locate desperate or motivated sellers and persuade them to sell their property at a steep discount. Tom Vu instructed his students to never offer more than 50% market value for a house. So you can also say Tom Vu is the godfather of lowballing. This technique involved tying up the property with a purchase contract, often just a document with the $10 token on it as consideration, including clauses that allow the buyer, which is the student in this case, to back out if needed. The buyer would sign it as you or assigns. Now what this means is that the buyer can assign the contract to someone else prior to closing. Then during the 30 to 60 day closing period, the student of Tom Vu was supposed to go find another buyer willing to pay more than the property contract, bring them in to buy the home. Then in theory, the student could flip the contract to that new buyer at the higher price and pocket the difference as profit, all without investing their own money beyond a small menial deposit. Tom Vu portrayed this as the repeatable formula for big money: find a house, lock it in far below value, and then quickly resell it at market value, netting a profit. People found out quickly it's not all sunshine and rainbows like Tom Vu would want you to believe. There's two types of ownership with a property. You have a private seller, and then you have the bank who owns the property. There is 0% chance a bank will sell a home for 50% of market value. Additionally, if someone is facing a foreclosure or a tax lien, they're still not going to go and sell the house for 50% of its value. And that's exactly what people who attempted Vu's system often found out. One seminar attendee from Canada wrote about his experience putting Vu's teachings into practice. No one would even entertain him, so he said he offered as high as 80%. Remember, Tom Vu says do 50% offer max. This guy said he did 80%, and he was still laughed out of most negotiations. You're coming in with unrealistic low offers. You want the contract to be very one-sided, offering a bunch of outs for the buyer. If you get no money down, you're not going to get a back-out clause. Alternatively, if you get a back-out clause, you have to put money down, so in case you back out, the seller is not left out to dry. See, this is what Tom Vu, I guess, just didn't know or didn't care to say.
Tom Vu seminar worked for me because I work hard at it. And if you home, you don't think it'll work for you because you're lazy. You don't want it to work for you.
By the early 1990s, Tom Vu's seminar empire was drawing some serious legal and public scrutiny. Dozens of his former students came forward with complaints, and media investigations cast a harsh light on Tom Vu's practices. There was a lot of complaints, but I'm going to focus on a few of the main ones. One of the biggest ones was false promises of partnerships. Many people said that Tom Vu enticed people with the promises of personal mentorship or partnership that never happened. In his seminars, Vu suggested that he will partner with his students on lucrative deals. However, at least 20 students filed affidavits in the state of Florida's Attorney General that Vu went back on his offer to become their financial partner in real estate purchases. But he only did that after paying for his elite courses. And on top of that, they received little to no help on actual deals, contradicting the impression that Vu would invest with them or honestly guide them at all. As these affidavits started to come in the state of Florida, the state itself launched an investigation in the early 1990s. They wanted to examine whether Vu's seminar business engaged in fraud or deceptive practices. Did Vu mislead customers by showing showing off a lavish lifestyle that students could not realistically attain. The best way to dig into that is to look at the customer experience. What happened to the people who signed up? How many people succeed? How many people fail? Take, for example, Paul Devine, a California school teacher who took out a $15,000 second mortgage on his home to attend Tom Vu's 5-day seminar, only to end up making 0 deals and at risk of losing his house. Devine said that he spent over a year searching for investments using Vu's strategy from Los Angeles all the way to Nevada, but every time he asked Vu's office for guidance or partnership on a potential deal, they would simply put him on hold or dismiss the property as not worthwhile. Another student, Jojo Kwong, wrote to authorities that she made over 200 offers on separate properties following Vu's strategies to a T, and not one was accepted. And there's tons of these other accounts that point to no students actually making any money and having success in Vu's programs. As the investigation got more intense, whistleblowers and even some insiders that worked with Vu came forward and said that Vu didn't use the strategies that he teaches his students.
A lot of people say, hey, if he can't do it, I can do it. But guess what? 99 will not do it, will never do it. Those are the real facts.
Tom Vu hired this man to help teach, but he says it was Tom Vu who talked students into forking over big tuition fees, even when some of them could ill afford it.
Instead, he got rich selling seminars. And when he does buy houses, he buys properties in all cash, using the hefty income that he makes from seminar fees to pay for his house prices. He owned at least 7 mansions in an exclusive Orlando area community and a Rolls Royce. So unlike a lot of fake flexers today, it is public record that Tom Vu did own a lot of his stuff. Notice I said a lot of his stuff, because his own lawyer came forward and said that some of the flashy props that he has on his infomercials were rented for show. He does not have a yacht, his lawyer said. Some of the houses are not his, and the women draped around him, they're all hired models. These revelations cast a doubt on Vu's credibility, suggesting that the opulence you saw on TV was at least in part just an illusion for marketing. Law enforcement never actually nailed Tom Vu for any crime. Some former students filed civil lawsuits against Vu, but these didn't get very far. Tom Vu managed to get away with this scheme in the sense that he avoided jail time or other major financial penalties. However, by the mid-1990s, all this attention and publicity severely hurt his reputation, effectively causing him to take a step back and quit the get-rich-quick schemes. But he wasn't done in the public spotlight, because in the early 2000s, he found himself in the one, the only Las Vegas, Nevada, a place that I actually really want to go, but I have no business going. Have y'all ever thought of somewhere or something like you just know, I should not go here, I shouldn't do this, but you really want to, and you're probably going to do it anyway, even though you know you shouldn't? Yeah, that's me in Las Vegas. Anyway, Tom Vu moved to Las Vegas and started going by the name Tommy Vu. And in the early 2000s, he became a regular in poker tournaments, and honestly, he earned a decent amount of respect in the poker community. Tom Vu had multiple cash finishes in major poker events. Notably, he placed 22nd in the 2005 World Series of Poker main event out of thousands of players. That's an amazing finish. He also had numerous other top finishes and amassed over $1.9 million in tournament winnings as of 2017. And it's actually rumored you can still see Tom Vu today in Las Vegas, because he does still live there. He's in his mid-60s right now, but everything I could see in my research says that he's actually a pretty chill person now, it seems like. I don't imagine most of you were alive when Tom Vu was doing his schemes, but Tom Vu actually became a pretty popular cult figure, and he still kind of is today. You'll see him on a lot of animated shows. For example, he's appeared in Family Guy, King of the Hill, Beavis and Butthead. If you ever watch those shows and you see an Asian guy talking fast with a lot of girls around him, that's most likely inspired by this man, Tom Vu. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, guys. I've been working really hard to get some videos out. Got a big surprise when we hit 10,000 subscribers. I keep telling you guys because I really think y'all are gonna like it. It's gonna really catch you guys off guard. But until then, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.